I've been a bad teacher. Let me explain. A few days ago, I received this message on YouTube. Great work and teaching style, but I thought I would point out a mistake. In your word order video, you have the subject me and Paco. It may be an Aussie thing, but me is the objective form. It should be Paco and I. Just thought I would mention it. I teach English here in Canada and often show your vids. Keep up the good work. Barry. Now, I was going to send Barry a link to my video about how subject and object pronouns don't exist in English, that it's a giant myth. But then I remembered all of your comments about that video. So now is an opportunity for me to correct my bad teaching. And now for version 2.0 of the subject-object pronoun lesson. So I'm going to start by proving that there is no such thing as a subject or an object pronoun with a very simple sentence. He and we went to the park. Now, no native speaker of English, in fact, nobody with any level of English would say he and we went to the park. You would say him and us, or he and us, or we and him. But you would never use both of these subject pronouns together. But why? Everybody gets taught that these are the English pronouns. But in fact, these are not the English pronouns. These are the special exceptions to the rule. We only use these when they are a single subject with a verb. In all other situations, you should use these. Me, you, us, them, him, and her, and it. Let me give you some more evidence that these are the true English pronouns. Imagine if I asked you the question, who ate all the pizza? And you're sitting there with all of the crumbs of the pizza on your chest. I know it was you who ate the pizza. And I say, who ate the pizza? You would say, me. But according to subject-object theory, you would say I, because me is not the object of anything. But it's because it's without a verb. So when it's with no verb, then we use the true pronoun. So how does this help you as a learner? Well, it helps you to avoid errors like this. The best player on the team is he. Now, we would use him not because of its position in the sentence, but because there's no verb. But this leaves one important question unanswered, and that's why is it correct to say something like this? You and I went to the park. Because this seems to break the rule that I'm telling you about. Here we have more than one subject, but we are using two of these special exception pronouns, you and I. The reason is something called hypercorrection. So back in the day, there was a bunch of these Latin-obsessed English academics, and they wanted English to be more like Latin because Latin was the language of doctors and lawyers and philosophers. And they tried to force people to use these two special pronouns in places where they didn't belong, because that's what Latin did. But this is hypercorrection. This is not what real English wanted, but it was forced upon us. And generations of school teachers forced children to say, you and I, Bill and I, and other violations of the true nature of the original grammar of English. So, in conclusion, I want you to know, you guys and also Barry Ross, that it's okay to say Paco and I, like this, like the way that's been forced upon us, but it's also okay to say me and Paco. Don't let hypercorrection ruin a perfectly good day. That was my second attempt at explaining subject-object pronouns. I hope that it was clearer. Hi, Omar. Yesterday, I told you about the Australian word of the year, Kwausie. But there's actually more to this word, and I want to tell you a really funny story. It involves the Australian government, Johnny Depp, and 2 small dogs. And if it wasn't true, you wouldn't believe it. Recently, a number of Australian politicians were forced to resign from their jobs because it was discovered that they were dual citizens, citizens of other countries apart from Australia, and that is illegal under the Australian Constitution. Now, one of the politicians that was forced to resign was this man, Barnaby Joyce. Now, in 2015, Barnaby Joyce had a surreal online fight with Johnny Depp. Basically, when Johnny Depp was in Australia filming Pirates of the Caribbean 5, he brought his 2 dogs, his 2 Yorkshire Terriers, into Australia without declaring them. Australia has very strict quarantine laws, so Johnny Depp was in a lot of trouble. And that's when Barnaby Joyce said that if they didn't take the dogs back to America, Australia was going to kill them. Then Johnny Depp responded by saying that Barnaby Joyce was
sweaty, big-gutted man from Australia
who looked like he'd been inbred with a tomato and was going to explode. And then Barnaby Joyce started taunting Johnny Depp, saying that
I think I'm turning to Johnny Depp's Hannibal Lecter. I'm inside his head. I'm pulling little strings.
The whole thing is absolutely ridiculous. And in the end, Johnny Depp paid a fine, and him and his wife issued a very strange and famous video apology to the Australian people.
I am truly sorry that Pistol and Boo were not declared. Protecting Australia is important.
Declare everything when you enter Australia.
And now Barnaby Joyce was forced to resign from his job in Parliament because he was a Kwausie. Revenge is sweet for Johnny Depp. I'm just about to do a live class on YouTube. I actually love doing the live classes. It feels like I actually get to communicate with you instead of just giving you content. I can talk to you. It's great. It is 9:15 and I should probably, I don't know, have a beer and and sit and watch some television, but I'm definitely not going to change the world by doing that. So, cup of tea, the biggest cup of tea in the world, tea bag still in. I always leave the bag in, extra caffeine, and I'm going to spend some time answering some comments on YouTube and on Facebook. I love you guys. It just wouldn't be, I wouldn't be a teacher if I didn't have time for my students.